Sometimes I think GPSs are pretty good, but I think maps might be better. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we are going to talk about the 2003 film Wrong Turn. I decided to watch this because it was on Tubi, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I praise Tubi. I think almost every video I record is always something with Tubi. This was on there, and I was like, man, I haven't watched this movie in a long time. I was probably like 15 the first time I seen Wrong Turn, and I think I seen Wrong Turn 3 first, which is don't actually remember, but I do remember watching this one, and I always thought it was really good, just for like a really good movie. So I decided let's revisit it. I'm gonna just talk about it because I actually really did like this movie. Now, is this peak horror? No, but it's actually a pretty solid movie, especially for the early 2000s. And the rest of the movies, I have no idea. I mean, to my knowledge, none of them are good except for like Blood Rights or something like that. That's like the newest one. To my knowledge, they're not very good. And maybe depending on this video I might just do like a giant ranking review. That'd be kind of fun. I like doing ranking videos, and I am trying to get better at those, so maybe I will do those. This movie does the typical horror movie trope where at the beginning of the movie you have a couple that are doing something, and one of them gets snatched up, the other one ends up getting snatched up as well, and they die. And this is out in the mountains of Appalachia. It's such a cool thought process in this because there is so much story in like history of people getting lost in the Appalachian Mountains. Not just that, but it's also like people believe there's like creatures out there, or like wild men, or like Sasquatch lives out there. So there's a lot of cool stuff about just that. My parents live in the southern parts of the United States, so we don't ever go through the Appalachian Mountains ever, because obviously that's on the other side, but it's still kind of cool just to see what could be in there. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I really think it's a really cool plot develop of just this thick, dense woods, and there could be like wild men out there. And watching this movie, it actually definitely gave me the Hills Have Eyes vibes a lot, except this is in the mountains and not in the desert. I think that's cool. I mean, I've only seen the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. I've never seen the original one, and I need to, just because I really want to. It's one of those movies I just need to get under my belt. But this movie was really, really fun, and let's talk a little bit about it, and then I'll give you my final rating for it and my final thoughts of this movie. So of course, like I said, this movie starts off like a lot of them, and then we do like the time skip of actually what happens, and we have the main male character, Chris Flynn. Makes me think of, I think it's Rapunzel. Could be. So Chris is going to a job interview, has a sick car, and he gets stuck in this traffic, and he figures out it's just a huge traffic jam that's going to take forever. So he takes a different route, and then he gets to like the stereotypical like southern abandoned gas station, which I've been to the south, and I never see these kind of like gas stations at all, or just these workers. So it's like, it's a stereotype. So what else is new? He like asks him a couple questions, and he tells him like ways to go, and that's about it. Like, I don't know. So anyway, so Chris is driving, and he drops a CD player. This is how I knew I was in the early 2000s. Drops a CD player, and he's trying to grab them and all, and he smashes into this car, and the car, both of the vehicles get messed up, and this is where you meet the rest of the cast. Now, the rest of the cast doesn't matter besides, of course, the goat, Jesse. Jesse's a pretty good character through this. When Chris meets the rest of them, they figure out that somebody barbed wired their tires. Now, to me, I'd be a little leery already, but yet again, we're in a horror movie. They're not going to be thinking, oh, did someone do this? No, of course not. And then what happens is the group does split up. So you have Chris and Jesse, Scott and Carly. So those four all go to like look for help. And in the back, you have Francisca and Evan. Those two stay back, and Francisca is the typical like slutty kind of girl, and Evan's kind of like the nerdy guy, and then you kind of like get it on at this like vehicle. Yeah, boy. Well, the other four are gone. Those two, of course, are the first ones to die. The four go to like this cabin, and they notice that the cabin has smoke and stuff, and they investigate, and this is where they find out like this is not a normal cabin. And I mean, if you look at it, clearly it's not going to anyway, just the vibe, but also it's like, well, yeah, it makes sense. It's in the middle of nowhere, and there's vehicles everywhere. Like I said, it really does give me the Hills Have Eyes vibes. If this was like an inspiration for that, I would not be surprised. But this is a really cool plot of really setting the tone, because obviously we don't know what these things look like. To our guests, We still don't know because it never shows you what these things are. And I'm going to call them things because we don't know yet. So in the cabin, they start looking, and then this is where they hide. And I actually really like this scene of the intensity of everyone hiding. And these things they actually find out are, well, like cannibal humans, like mutated humans, which is pretty cool. Now, I knew this obviously watching this movie, going into it. I always try when I watch movies to do for YouTube, especially ones I've seen before, I try going in with a clear mind, like I've never seen this movie before, just to give myself a better feel, a better experience while watching this movie. Honestly, I felt like it was a pretty fun, intense scene, especially with Chris and Jessica where they're like under the bed hiding, and one of them like drops something and you just see blood seeping down in the dirt, and then they all fall asleep, and this is where they all escape. And by the time they escape, well, another intense scene is with the screen door. Chris grabs the screen and like holds onto it. His hand starts bleeding, and then they all run off, and then the three creatures chase after him. And then they get to this like junkyard, and this is where they're all like, holy crap, it's not just ours. Like, they do this all the time. And this is where they come out with a plan of having one person go and then the rest will run. And Chris is like, I'm gonna do it. Chris gets shot in the leg. Immediately. He doesn't even make it past the tree line. And so Scott is the MVP. He's like, I will go. He kind of looks like a young Jeff Goldblum a little bit. That's kind of what I was going through like the whole time I was watching. I'm like, this looks like Jeff Goldblum. And so he books it, and all of them follow him, and the other three take the truck, and Scott gets so close, and he gets shot and killed by, well, a bow. Really good shot, just saying. So Scott gets killed, and then the three of them are trying to figure out how to escape, and their truck gets stopped by a tree that broke down in the road. And then they get out, and they find like this old ranger house, and they go up there, and they're trying to get like signal, and the lights are on and stuff, which I was like, you guys are idiots. You're trying to hide from these creature things. Have all the windows open, and you're using these glow lights so you can see, but it's like, why don't you not do that? You know, it's one of those things. And then the creatures are pretty close to the cabin. It's like a ranger thing where you're out in the woods and it's several feet tall, so it's like a tree line you can see a lot, and that's what it is. So the whole time I'm like, and they were safe. Like, the things were walking by until the radio went off, which makes sense. The radio did go off, but I don't know. They could have done a couple of stuff to keep it quieter. I'm pretty sure there's a volume button on it. And what happens is, well, the radio goes off, and this is where these creatures, I think the one's called like Littlefinger or something, I don't know. And they start burning this thing, and the only way they can survive is by leaping into the trees. And they do end up doing that. And then, sadly, Carly dies. Really bad CGI blood, of course. It was like something like in the early 2000s where like obsessed with CGI blood. It was so annoying to watch. And I watched that, I'm like, oh man, this would have been so groovy. It wasn't CGI blood. Then they plot and they trick Littlefinger. They like let go of this like tree branch and knocks him down. And we actually think he's dead for the rest of the movie. And well, he's not. The rest of the movie, Jessica gets captured. Chris saves her, and then she saves him because they just kill the other two. That's kind of how the movie ends, and then police show up there, and Littlefinger actually comes out of nowhere and kills them. So it's like, it was cool. I thought it was fun, and I kind of liked seeing a final girl and a final guy. My experience of watching movies, well, you don't really see a lot of final guys, and you actually don't see a lot of final couple. Now, these two, do they end up together? I guess you could think like that, because it's not like confirmed or anything, but I mean, you could definitely be like, well, they probably did. But in general though, I thought it was a really fun movie. I think the action and the intensity was actually really good. Now, am I saying this is the best movie I've ever seen? No. It's one of those movies I feel like if this was just a standalone and there was no sequels to it, I actually think this would be propped up higher like horror movies. I really do. But because of all these terrible sequels with it, it's never gonna get propped up. Sad enough, like there's a lot of, like, granted, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really bad horror sequels to these big franchises. Like we have the Friday the 13th franchise and Halloween. But the thing is, for Halloween, the first Halloween movie is so good, and then they have it sprinkled in there, so there's other ones that are pretty good. Friday the 13th, none of them are really good besides this 2009 remake. That is the best one. I will die on that hill. I need to make a ranking video of that franchise because I just think Friday the 13th is just booty cheeks. I mean, that might be a hot take, but I don't really care. I think it's just not a very good franchise. We'll talk about that when I do a ranking video. But with Wrong Turn, I think Wrong Turn was fine. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I don't think it was like the best movie. I actually don't think it's the worst movie. I like the elements of being in these woods, getting chased by like mutant creature humans. I think that was really fun. And I think character-wise, I think it was all right. I don't think it's like an amazing movie, but I thought it was a lot of fun. And well, that's the honest truth. I can't really say anything else besides that being fun. The gore was okay. There was never much any gore scenes. Like there was obviously like bloody scenes, but like the best scene that should have been like practical was not. It was CGI. And that alone, I was like, I think this might be a 4 out of 5 for me. But when that scene happened, I immediately was like, we're done. Drop a half a star, because it just wasn't that good. It made me so upset because I kind of forgot that CGI blood was like a real thing during like the early 2000s. And sometimes it doesn't now. Final Destination movies, it was just known for CGI blood. I wasn't too surprised with Wrong Turn doing it. I think it would have been cooler if it was practical, but can't do anything about it. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. Have you seen the Wrong Turn movie, or have you seen the franchise? Which one is your favorite out of the whole franchise? I'd love to know down below. And is the third one the one where they do like a military game? I think that's the third one. I just remember that one because there was like a Marine dude that fights like all of them. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's the third one. It could be the second one. I don't remember. There's like 9 of them, but none of them are really that good besides the first one, I think. I don't know. I haven't seen the other ones. Track record says a lot more than I thought, but regardless though, I think it was a really fun movie, and it depends how this video does, but I might do more. I might do a giant ranking video instead of individual reviews. We'll see what happens in the future. And of course, make sure you guys stay out of those woods, or just bring a map and a gun.